HODs, Professor Jay Gopal Sharma, HOD of our department, Professor Praveer Kumar, Dr. Yesha Hasija, coordinator of the workshop, faculty members, guests, and all the participants to this 1 week international workshop on bioinformatics. This workshop has been planned with the vision to impart knowledge and understanding of the current bioinformatics research. To embark upon the workshop, I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone. Shubham karoti kalyanam, arogyam dhana sampada, shatru buddhi vinashaya, deep jyoti namostute. Meaning, I fold my hands before the light that brings prosperity, auspiciousness, good health, abundance of wealth, and destruction of the enemy's intellect. Here we invoke the Almighty by lighting of the lamp by the dignitaries present with us. So, please.
कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीणा वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेष जाड्यापहा.
Thank you, everyone. The time has been difficult for everyone now. It takes great strength and motivation to keep moving forward. To give us that motivation and the positive mindset, we have organized this 1 week international e-workshop. I request Dr. Yesha Hasija, coordinator of the workshop, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Good morning, Namaste. Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir and our Chief Guest for today, Professor Yogesh Singh, respected Dr. Anurag Agrawal Sir, Director CSIR IGIB, and our guest of honor for today, Deans, HODs, Professor Jay Gopal Sharma, Head of Department of Biotechnology DTU, and the Chairman of the workshop, Professor Praveer Kumar, Professor B.D. Malhotra, other faculty members, students, participants from India and across the globe. On behalf of the organizers, it is my great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this 1 week international e-workshop on bioinformatics. I appreciate your efforts to be together, albeit virtually at this difficult time. This pandemic reminds us to be grateful for everything that adds meaning to our lives. We are honored to have amongst us today Professor Yogesh Singh, the Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technological University, a luminary teacher, researcher, leader, and above all, humanitarian. We are extremely privileged to have had the opulence of working under his enormously gifted persona. We are grateful to you, sir, for sparing your valuable time to honor us by accepting our invitation to be the chief guest on the occasion. Your constant encouragement and support has made this online workshop possible on such a large scale. I would like to extend a special welcome to our guest of honor, Dr. Anurag Agrawal, a very accomplished physician scientist. Profusely elated to have you amongst us, sir. My association with him goes back to the days of CSIR IGIB when I was pursuing my PhD. And after serving as a faculty member at Baylor, Sir had returned back to India and joined as senior scientist at CSIR IGIB. An expert in the field, known for his extensive work on respiratory diseases. He is a treasure trove of knowledge, and I thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to grace the inauguration function and share your vast pool of knowledge and experience. We are greatly honored to have amongst us Professor Jayagopal Sharma, Head, Department of Biotechnology DTU, whose unceasing support and endorsement has made this workshop possible. We extend a heartfelt welcome to Professor Praveer Kumar, Professor B.D. Malhotra, and all the faculty members, students, and dear participants from India and abroad. Many of you may have joined in the unusual time zones to make use of this e-workshop on bioinformatics. We are delighted to have received an overwhelming response for the workshop from around the world. Among around 2,500 registered participants, we have scientists, faculty, postdoctoral fellows, PhD scholars, graduate and undergraduate students from multiple domains from more than 500 institutions spread across 58 countries. We are thrilled to introduce the eminent speakers from around the world to navigate us through this hands-on workshop. Some of the distinguished professionals that we have on the panel are Dr. Samir Ghosh and Dr. Suchendra Kumar, Senior Scientists, the Systems Biology Institute, Tokyo, Dr. Jaspreet Kaur Dhanjal, the Postdoctoral Fellow at AIST Japan and a proud alumnus of Delhi Technological University, Dr. Gunjan Arora, Associate Research Scientist, Yale University, and Dr. Jaydev Joshi, Cleveland Clinic, Ohio, United States. Dr. Anshu Bharadwaj, Senior Scientist, CSIR MTech, Dr. Vinod Skaria, Principal Scientist, CSIR IGIB, and Dr. Muhammad Imtiaz Hassan, Group Leader, Structural Biology Laboratory, Jamia Millia Islamia, Delhi, India. Dr. Amit Mandal from NHLI Imperial College London, Dr. Amit Agarwal, Group Leader, University of Heidelberg, Germany, and Dr. Tanishtha Nandi, Data Scientist, University of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I believe that participating in this workshop, we are in the right place and at the right time. Together, let us accelerate the research of ideas and scaling up bioinformatics research. I wish you all a very successful online workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the address. Now may I introduce the person under whose patronage DTU is flourishing like cherry blossom. Professor Yogesh Singh is the third Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technological University. He has been the fifth director of Netaji Subhas Institute of Technology, now Netaji Subhas University of Technology, Delhi, and 16th Vice Chancellor of Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda, Gujarat. He is the chairman, governing board, Information and Library Network in Flipnet Center, Gandhinagar. He is a member of the Executive Committee of National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC. Sir has an iconic track record of quality teaching, innovation, and research with H index of 31 and citation index of 3,248. A great mentor who has supervised 23 PhDs in the area of software engineering. He has been a part of the prestigious Yale India Leadership Program at Yale University, USA. He has always had a holistic approach to education and has passed on his wisdom upon anyone who has crossed path with him and with only one agenda, to impart knowledge. He's not just a visionary in his field, but also a praiseworthy administrator. May I request the man of distinct vision, a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, and an ideal of knowledge, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, to please say a few kind words of encouragement to the participants.
Thank you, Neha. Good morning to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Anurag Agarwal, Director CSIR IGIB, Professor Jayagopal Sharma, Head of Biotechnology Department, Professor Praveer Kumar, Professor B.D. Malhotra, Dr. Yasha Hasija, who is the coordinator of this workshop, other respected faculty members, invited guests, deans and other HODs of DTU, and my dear participants. Good morning again, and on behalf of Delhi Technological University, I welcome you all for this inaugural session of 1 week international workshop on bioinformatics and its applications. As we all know, these are trying times for everyone as we battle the COVID-19 pandemic. While the world has slowed down, learning has not stopped. With the help of technology, today we are organizing this workshop. With the help of technology, we could conduct our classes last semester. With the help of technology, we could complete many teaching learning activities using the technology, which was not possible in the last century. Although this is not the first pandemic that the civilization or the humanity has experienced. In the last century, last to last century, and last to last century, every century humanity has faced. But this time, we could manage very well as compared to the last and last to last century, and we are controlling it. And and our universities and the higher education sector, everyone is addressing those issues using technology. Thanks to the technologists, thanks to the engineers, and thanks to the biotechnology, microbiology professors and scientists and biochemistry scientists, where we are hopeful that we will have some solution very soon for this pandemic also. In times like this, Martin Luther King Jr.'s statement has become very important and relevant. He said, if you cannot fly, then run. If you cannot run, then walk. And if you cannot walk, then crawl. Whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. It means keep moving forward is a lesson from here. We should keep moving forward. But where is also important here. Here speed is not that important. Whether you run, walk, but your direction should be correct. And I'm quite hopeful with the help of the scientific world and the higher education institutions, the direction is right in this pandemic also. And when it comes to the development also, the direction is right. Speed may vary here and there. And here in this statement, speed is not that important. Direction is important. And whenever we are doing research, when we are doing anything, always keep in mind the direction, whether my direction is right or not. Speed, if today we are not able to take speed, tomorrow we can take it. Day after tomorrow we can take it. But direction reversal means what? Many things need to be reversed. This we all should remember. And someone has rightly said, एक हिंदी में एक फिल्म आई थी, उसकी बहुत अच्छी लाइनें हैं. We all should remember this, कि रात भर का है मेहमा अंधेरा, रात भर का है मेहमा अंधेरा, किसके रोके रुका है सवेरा, किसके रोके रुका है सवेरा, रात जितनी भी संगीन होगी, होगा उतना ही उजला सवेरा. So that's why I'm quite hopeful. I'm hopeful, optimistic about the solution and the bright future of all of us. We should not worry. Humanity is in the right direction. Speed, yes, due to pandemic now, we are passing through a slow speed era. But tomorrow when things will be changed, we will take speed again. So I welcome you to this one-of-kind hands-on online workshop. The topic is very important and relevant and has attracted delegates from all over the world, experts with wide-ranging knowledge and bioinformatics. This workshop will inspire and influence many scholars, students, participants, professors, and teachers. Biotechnology has made impressive advancement in last 2 decades. It holds a huge promise of helping humanity in fulfilling some of the most fundamental needs, from food supplies to healthcare. One side is the food, another side is the healthcare. When we say the healthcare, the aging also. If biotechnology can enhance aging, and people are expecting that some solutions will come because many people in the world are working on aging. So during this pandemic, we are confident that the solutions will come very soon. And due to advancement in biotechnology, medicines, and healthcare, we will eradicate the corona. Bioinformatics has a broad range of applications, and translating that potential into practice is a challenge. Applications we know, but how to find solutions for those applications, it's a big challenge. And such workshops will help all of us to understand that. Artificial intelligence and biotechnologies, these two have become a buzzword now. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone is discussing about it. And in this hyper-connected world, where people are connected, people do understand the difficulties of others. Artificial intelligence and biotechnology might soon overhaul out societies, economies, and world order also. Maybe for the good, sometimes maybe not for that good. But we should always be on the bright side of everything. In the past, there were things. In the past, there were many things which only humans were doing, as we all know. But now, robots and computers are catching up, and many soon outperform many tasks which human beings are doing today. Digital is not too far away. I'm sorry. Digital teachers are not too far away. Algorithms are doing such work. Repetitive work can effectively handled by algorithms. My dear scientists, digital teachers will never lose their patience as we do sometimes. Never shout and never go on strike also. It means what? Things will be very, very different. And this is a challenge not only for the higher education system, but the school system also, and also for the scientists. What will happen? What will happen once algorithms outperform us in remembering, analyzing, and recognizing patterns? Remembering, analyzing, and recognizing patterns, then what will happen? Algorithms may replace most of the routine jobs. Most of the routine jobs in the next 20 years. This is a challenge, but we should take it as an opportunity. Remember in our 1980s, 85s, when we used to watch cricket, umpires were very effective. They were taking all decisions, but then technology intervened, and then PWD, leg before wicket decision was transferred to most of the time to the umpire, and many things keep on improving. And tomorrow we may not need an umpire. We don't need referees in sports because precision is so high using computers. We used to have 2-3 cameras on the field, but now hundreds of cameras on the field, taking every aspect, every photo of every angle. It means they may become irrelevant because repetitive jobs are under questions. But imagination, research, and creativity will find enormous opportunity to the people who are working in such areas. So we should not worry about it. It has happened also last century also, and this century also it is happening. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. This is the path of progress. In 20th century, we have almost double life expectancy, as I was talking about the age, from 40 to 70. And in 21st century, we should at least double it again to 150 years. Can we do it? Imagine if our age enhanced to 150 years, many things will change in this civilization. Modern medicines has not extended our natural lifespan by a single year. No, but its great achievements has been to save us from premature death and allow us to enjoy the full measures of our years. This workshop will cover bioinformatics to data handling and next data generation sequencing. But three focus areas here which are very, very important: food, health, and pharmaceuticals. How can we find solutions here? Advances in biotechnology should accelerate economic growth, no doubt about it. They will accelerate economic growth, and economic growth is the key of success for any nation. And we should always keep on enhancing economic growth. If existing advices are against it, then also we should do it. because disregard anything that might hamper economic growth will not help us to eradicate poverty, will not help us to enhance happiness. So these are very, very important aspects. So that's why these areas, and particularly this area of bioinformatics, is very exciting, and computer scientists, data scientists, and others who are finding path into biotechnology. They are looking for a window in the biotechnology, and vice versa also. And in an institution like Delhi Technological University, where we are implementing open and flexible curriculum. From this semester only, we have instituted the major and minor concept. It means what? This concept is very relevant for interdisciplinary areas, and the areas where one area experts are taking advantage of another area, and another area experts are taking advantage of the first area. For example, here, those students who are interested in, they have experience in data science and they want to develop something in biotechnology, they can take major from computer science and minor from biotechnology, or major in IT, minor in biotechnology, major in biotechnology, minor in computer science, minor in software engineering, minor in data science. So many options are available now. This is a real thing which will promote interdisciplinary research, interdisciplinary thought process. So use of IT and biotechnology for the data storage, data warehousing, and analyzing the DNA sequences will increase and will strengthen the multidisciplinary research. Many universities are doing so. We are not the first to do it, but we want to implement it in letter and spirit when we say open and flexible curriculum with major and minor concepts. But the areas which needs immediate attention, where biotechnologists can help us, such workshops can influence some of us to work in the areas where humanity is facing challenges. Waste cleanup. In Delhi, it's a real challenge. Then, the climate change, pollution, alternate energy resources, crop improvement, nutritional quality, forensic analysis of microbes, preventive medicine, drug development, microbe genome applications, healthcare. There are so many such areas. Another is a biofuel. If we can find some solutions here, these are the present day's problems. That will be the real help for, and my dear participants and the students. For researchers, present moment is very important. This time is very important. And the time is the pandemic, time is the challenges which we all are facing it. So focus on what is right. And what I want to say is focus what is right today. Does not focus on what is wrong, because that takes your energy and confidence. Never ever focus on what is wrong, because if you focus there, your energy and confidence will go away. That's why we have to put our chin up and pay attention to what is important now, what is important today. And if researchers can help us identify 1, 2, 3 areas and focus on that, that will be the purpose of organizing such conferences, such workshops. And this is the workshop of international nature. Many will share the views and provide some directions. Only thing is, with the open mind, with the openness of the mind, will help us to understand and accept some of the findings of the achievers. And I would like to thank the head of the department and Dr. Yasha Hasija for inviting me this workshop. And this workshop will help us, and it will help the students of DTU and others who are with us for a week. Thank you very much, and may God bless all of us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor.
Your words always help us to heal and encourage us for the better future. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Dr. Anurag Agrawal joined the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, Delhi in 1989 for his MBBS, after which he moved to the US for his residency at the Baylor College of Medicine, where he has also worked as a fellow and as an assistant professor at the Department of Pulmonary and Critical Care. He joined the Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology, IGIB, of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, and currently he serves as the director of the institute. He is also the recipient of the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology, one of the highest Indian science awards for his contributions to medical sciences in 2014. He is also a recipient of the National Bioscience Award for Career Development of the Department of Biotechnology, which he received in 2015. I humbly invite guest of honor Dr. Anurag Agrawal to illuminate us on the topic of big data and pandemic preparedness, a role of informatics. So please.
Thank you very much, Neha. Thanks to Professor Yugender Singh for a wonderful discussion, Professor Praveer Kumar, Professor Jagopal Sharma, and of course to Yasha, whom I have known for I think more than a decade now. A very important thing that was mentioned to all of you was the importance of moving forward. And I'm reminded of my days as a critical care physician when my mentor told me the difference between a good critical care doctor and one who's not is the ability to pick a direction and keep moving. If you constantly second guess yourself, and he used to give the example of Marines dropped in the middle of a jungle, given a certain amount of time to come out of it. And he said the biggest distinguishing factor between those who make it and the ones who don't are the ones who pick a direction and then keep moving, rather than second guessing themselves. But what does that have to do with informatics? How do you pick that direction? In a wet lab world, there's so many experiments one can do. There's so many possible drugs one could test. There's so many lead molecules. There's so many possibilities. That business of picking the right direction seems to be a bit more tricky than one may think initially. So with that, let me launch my slides. Here we go. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, sir, there was.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So when we talk about pandemic preparedness, we have to come to the fact, what are we preparing for? And what are the directions in which we will move? It all comes down in the end to big data and informatics. Before I speak more, because like I talked about picking directions, like I talk about informatics, all of it is fundamentally modeling in some form or the other. Whether you live in this world, you enter into interactions, all of us have a model of this world in our head. And fundamentally, all models are wrong, but some are useful. Keep that at the back of our mind as we go forward. Ultimately, everything we do, from activities of daily living towards trying to figure out what might be the best treatment for this particular virus, they're all models. And let me start with something we would not normally think of: big data. This is a very famous map in medicine in which John Snow marked affected houses on a map of London. So you can see all those little black things. These are the affected houses. Now, is this big data? Not today, right? But once upon a time, when even getting a map might be difficult, there was no Google to quickly lay out things for you. No other type of mapping. To go from house to house, figuring out the cases, putting them on a map, and then mapping out all the pumps, and then realizing that almost all these houses are almost within a zone of a few kilometers starting from this pump. And then trying to figure out that this Broad Street pump, very famous pump now, maybe the place where the outbreak is starting. And from there on, learning to control via sanitation. And he did something really simple. He just pulled off the handle from the pump and he found the epidemic came to an end because people could no longer draw water from this particular well. From there to now. Now we have headlines like this: how China used AI and big data to fight the coronavirus. Clearly, this model has not been usable in other parts of the world, perhaps for the better. But you can make out that they were able to do thermography on the streets. They were able to, in public places, match faces. They were able to see who is wearing a mask, who is not. They maintained track of who is positive, who should not be outside their house. And using somewhat draconian measures and some really good technology, for example, they realized they didn't have enough tests at one point, so they started doing CT scans on everybody. They didn't have enough doctors to read the CT scans. They wrote algorithms to automatically read the CT scans. Whether it is appropriate, whether it should first have a large amount of research proving safety, multiple reviews by multiple ethical boards, that's a different issue altogether. And clearly, a democratic vision makes all of this very, very important. But the fact remains that big data and AI were critical in the Chinese fight against the coronavirus, and all said and done, in terms of sheer ability to fight the spread, they have somewhat done a better job than many places else. But what is big data? I don't think there is any point actually. There is no point of defining it as kilo or mega or giga or exa or zeta. Today we talk of minimum of exabytes by the time we think of really big data. The best ways to think about it are the V's: the volume, the velocity, the variety, and the veracity. Volume and velocity are obvious. Variety is somewhat obvious. Veracity is an important thought. When you don't know how much of the data that you're getting is true, yet you need to build models, and I'll give you an example of that. It is clearly in the domains of big data. Why? I think big data analytics is defined in a very simple way. When simple analytics that everybody does is not possible because of any one of these factors, then you're in the domain of big data. It's a shifting bar. It'll keep getting up higher and higher. So why big data in health? One, you want to gain insight by generating a fuller view encompassing the entire system. You could do it at public health level, for example, the global burdens of diseases. You could do it as a basic scientist, informatics for repurposing of drugs. Last year, we heard about the first AI antibiotic, helicin. That was a major improvement, a new class of antibiotics, basically found by AI, looking through the type of molecules that have antibiotic-like properties. You could use big data to mimic expert opinion. I gave you examples of the Chinese using AI to read CT. There are many efforts in the past. IBM Watson is a well-known but somewhat failed example. CAT4TB is a more successful but less known examples where TB X-rays in Africa are being read by AI systems, and their entire X-ray clinics without a doctor. We could, of course, also use big data in health to cognitively generate new knowledge, self-learning system that surpass expert opinion. It's not really quite possible yet beyond a few examples like helicin, but it will eventually come. And the most important question always to ask for all of us who sometimes can get stuck with the idea we have a hammer, the world will look like a nail for us to hammer it. Is big data the right data? Not always. Sometimes what you want is a definitive answer, which requires a well-designed study, which may or may not be big. Sometimes in a very small study, you can get a very definitive answer. But given the scale and diversity of India, I think that building capability in big data analytics will be very important going forward. So how do we use big data in a pandemic? Let's look at two basic sides. To understand health and disease, what is the pattern and extent of spread? Who is the person at risk of infection? Who is at risk of severe disease? I mean, do we really care if everybody got infected and recovered? If nobody got severe disease, we probably don't, right? We won't be going around doing RT-PCR tests on millions of people. We are worried because some people develop severe disease. If you could figure out who those people are, then you may not have to test everybody. Or you may, depends on what you find. You could do it for affordable drug discovery. You could do it for automated diagnostics. I gave you examples. But very important, very practically, you may need all this for better implementation. Where do you want to test? How do you track and trace? How do you figure out the benefits and outcomes of your strategies? How do you manage supply chains? How do you generate evidence for a better understanding, which goes back to A? So if you look at it, better understanding and better implementation are iterative processes. You develop better understanding, you try to implement it. You gain some more understanding, you go back. And that's how it goes back and forth. In science, it's always been supposed to be that way. Let me start with some bad examples. There were lots of models from well-known modelers, well-known epidemiologists, claiming that people would be dying on the streets, claiming that healthcare systems simply would not be able to cope up, making doomsday predictions, and all of them turned out to be wrong. To the point that papers were published on how it's a case study in model failure. And the same people who made those mistakes also then corrected them and came out with good insights. So this is a paper by Ramanan Lakshminarayan, who had made some initial predictions that were not well received by the government. And later on, of course, you see this paper in Science where they look at an entire state of India. They look at contact distributions. They look at mortality trends by ages. They show that the vast majority of transmission chains are short, but a few super spreading events can really account for a huge amount of transmission. And this is good high quality epidemiology. They help identify who might be high risk contacts. They help identify who are the low risk contacts. It is important, however, to my mind, that while we have Indian authors on this paper working from within India, they were mostly from the bureaucracy side, making data available to people. And we do not actually see such data enter into the public domain easily in India, allowing Indian modelers to be able to generate similar work. And that is something I would say is a big lacuna as we talk about informatics for pandemic preparedness, an open way of looking at data that preserves the needs of the state, that preserves the need of the public, and preserves the need of the scientists. And I must say that small data had anyway got it right. If you did nothing else, and you only looked at the data coming out of Diamond Princess, the cruise ship, where we had a major outbreak, it would have already told us a huge amount of what we learned many months later with much ambiguity. We learned that not everybody gets infected. We learned who gets infected. We learned the type of environments where people get infected. And basically it boils down to, there is some degree of background innate immunity. By the time you hit about 20-25% people becoming seropositive, initial phases and outbreaks end, and that closed environments are the ideal place for this to spread. Now, what is the reason this gap came around? And this is not an ideal graph. It's taken from Nipun Sahni, a young team working on the problem of modeling the outbreak from Cambridge. If you look at the universe of all infections, only a few get detected. Of the people who get detected, only a few get hospitalized. Of the ones who get hospitalized, only a few die. Now, if you only detected the persons who were hospitalized, the fraction of deaths would look very high. If you were testing outside the hospitals, you would be at the detection circle, and the number of people dying would look even lower. If you were testing in the community before people even became symptomatic, you would have the widest circle, and you would realize that out of 1,000 people who get infected, a very small number actually die. Now, how can you estimate this? You can estimate this, of course, either by doing real cases or by doing examples like serology. You test in a sample of people how many percent were infected, and from that percentage, you estimate the total number of infections in your community, and that's how you come up with these numbers. Now, a very young group, I saw these guys when they came out with their models in late April to early May. As far back in April, they'd already predicted that if you look around the world and you plot in terms of daily deaths per unit population, and you normalize this, almost all cities look the same after adjusting for age. Younger cities, of course, have less deaths. Older cities tend to have more deaths. And from this, they predicted that Mumbai and Delhi, the pandemic would end in June. It was very interesting how this young team who claimed to know nothing about epidemiology, nothing about biology, only working with the fundamental fact that the pattern across cities has been similar, were able to make better predictions of the course of the pandemic in India than many better established groups. And I think it's a very important thing for you young students that coming with no preconceived notions, looking at it simply that we don't know anything much about the virus, but we do know that it should behave similarly across the globe. And that was enough for them. And of course, transmission of knowledge is very important. There is no point in doing all these things if the information is not flowing. Building better digital health systems is so critical towards it. I'm going to now just briefly talk about some things that CSR IGIP did. I noticed Vinod is one of the faculty, and hopefully he will talk much more about all this in detail. If what is required is to trace the epidemic, where it is coming from, look how the virus is behaving, you need to couple diagnostics to sequencing. And this is something that was recently achieved, and I think this is purely an informatics game. You're able to use NovaSeq type platforms to do 300 to 3000 sample sequencing in one go. It provides you both diagnosis as well as the sequence. This in turn allows you to reach a very, very high level of accuracy while generating tremendous amounts of data. And this level of data analysis can only happen when you have well-trained informatics team, which Vinod will talk about. You can also do it at a completely different scale. You can go to something the size of a spectacle case, the Oxford Nanopore MinION, and it's a 2 lakh machine. And you can start generating sequences, very affordable, very low resource, and you can make innovations. You can make innovations in the way you go. You can make innovations in the way you operate this handheld sequencer of your mobile phone. If all you want is a diagnosis, you can have a run ending in 30 minutes, at which point the 100 samples you have loaded, you already know where the sample sequence has been found. You could, of course, do it the other way around. You could let the entire sequence complete and try to trace where did this person pick up his infection from and how is it doing. Using such data, we were able to show waves of imports and super spreading events in India. The initial wave came from Wuhan. It was focal and contained, but subsequent waves came from Iran, Western Europe, and America and underwent local spread. There was at least one major super spreader event in India in April, linked to Southeast Asia, particularly to Brunei, that led to a nationwide seeding. And that's published work that you can look up. Until this nationwide massive seeding, actually, things had been under reasonable control, but they had escaped and were already in the modes of community spread. Well, let's use that word carefully, but were clearly spreading within communities. By now, CSR itself has sequenced over 2,000 COVID genomes, and 4,000 SARS-CoV-2 genomes are available. You can see that, and you can see this purple. This large run of purple is that unique strain that I talked about that came to India from outside, but then became local because of certain mutations and spread all over the country. It has started dying out almost all over India, but is still persisting a little bit in Delhi. By and large, you get about 6 clades, which correspond fundamentally to Western Europe, which is where most of our initial infections have come, after the initial ones in yellow, which came from Wuhan, China, which were very well controlled by the Kerala public health system. These are the statewide prevalence of the various clades, and you can see that they're still present in significant numbers. We don't really see, when we look at the clinical data associated with them, much heterogeneity in terms of the outcomes, but there are certain elements that may be relevant for vaccine development, because there are certain mutations that we have seen, particularly in B4, that may be relevant towards targeting of the spike protein by antibodies. So with that, I hope I've given you a flavor of how those of you working on genomes and informatics can contribute. Those of you who have no biological background would still be able to look at public data and try to make better predictions. And I also hope that we aid you in doing such things by making data easily and more publicly available. And with that, I would like to end. Thank you very much. I think COVID-19 will change healthcare forever. It could be for the better, it could be for the worse. The digital transformation of this world clearly will be accelerated by COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such intellectual and knowledgeable words, explaining everyone how big data is currently changing the world in healthcare. Thank you so much, sir. Moving forward, we would like to present glimpses of Delhi Technological University.
The lush green 170 acres campus of welcomes you all. A premier engineering institution of Delhi, formerly known as Delhi College of Engineering, is a multi-faculty institution of engineering and management. It has mechanical engineering, electronics and communication engineering, electrical engineering, environmental engineering, civil engineering, computer science engineering, information technology, applied physics, applied chemistry, applied mathematics, biotechnology, humanities, Delhi School of Management, University School of Management and Entrepreneurship at East Delhi campus. The latest is Department of Design. And with all this, the 65 student societies wait for you to broaden your horizon with a student strength of more than 10,000.
Thank you, everyone. Now we present to you the highlights of Department of Biotechnology at Delhi Technological University.
Delhi Technological University has an illustrious history spanning over 79 years. This prestigious institution is well known throughout the world for its premier education, research and innovations. The Department of Biotechnology was founded in 2004 with a vision to make an impact through research and technology-based training. The department has more than 200 students enrolled in various UG and PG programs which encompass various basic and applied aspects of modern biotechnology. The faculty members of the department are excellent teachers and research scientists, and they have published their research in high-impact factor peer-reviewed journals. The department has made a profound impact in the field of biotechnology and life sciences with a cumulative citation index of over 20,000. We have received a cumulative research grant of over 6 crore rupees with various national and international collaborations with prominent institutions. The department houses 10 state-of-the-art laboratories, viz. Environmental and Industrial Biotechnology Laboratory, Nanobioelectronics Laboratory, Molecular Neuroscience and Functional Genomics Laboratory, Complex Systems and Genome Informatics Laboratory, Immunotherapeutics Laboratory and Plant Biotechnology Laboratory. In 2018, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of DTU, Professor Yogesh Singh, inaugurated the world-class instrumentation facility in the department. The department organizes various events for promotion of academic research and collaboration. The department has organized multiple workshops, faculty development programs and conferences to foster research culture in the field of biotechnology and life sciences in India. All these events serve as a great platform for the students to gain research exposure. Many prominent speakers from all over the world have been invited in the past to deliver lectures to inspire the young scholars. The department takes various initiatives for the progression of its students. Starting from 2009, the department organizes its annual Technical Fest, Carry On, which features eminent speakers from academia and industries alike and witnesses participation from all over India. Students participate in social, cultural and leisure activities which facilitates developing various skills, competencies and foster holistic development. The students have won many laurels in both academics and extracurricular activities. Our alumni play an active role in contributing to the students' success and share their expertise and best practices in a given field. We have a strong alumni network, working in the world's top multinational companies and premier research institutions. The department strives to achieve the ultimate goal to prepare the future scientists and engineers, who can address the diverse needs of the industry and can become the societal problem solvers.
Thank you, everyone. Also, for participants interested in higher studies, I would like to mention, in addition to BTech in Biotechnology, MTech in Industrial Biotechnology, and MSc in Biotechnology, our department offers MTech in Bioinformatics, AICTE approved course. It is open to the BTech and MSc graduates, and the students are supported with GATE Fellowship. Now, I would like to conclude the inauguration ceremony with a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and faculties and participants. On behalf of the Department of Biotechnology, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, to grace us with his presence and his thoughts of motivation. This workshop would not have been completed without his encouragement and bringing us opportunities to excel in our respective fields. I also must mention a deep sense of appreciation and a very heartfelt thanks to Dr. Anurag Agarwal for sharing the relevance of informatics and big data in healthcare. I also wish to express my gratitude to our chairman and HOD, Professor Jayagopal Sharma, for providing encouragement and are grateful for the support throughout. I also express my regards to Dr. Yasha Hasija for her best efforts in bringing the internationally acclaimed experts in bioinformatics for hands-on demonstration. It would be an excellent opportunity for all the participants with and without experience in the field. I'm sure would have lots to take home with them after the workshop. I also thank all of the faculty members of our department, and I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of the task beyond their comfort zones. Thank you, everyone. We will start our first session with Dr. Vinod Sakaria at 11 a.m. IST. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.